The first second passed in silence. The gunner's finger tightened, then paused. Not because he had mercy, but because something about the prisoner's movement didn't match surrender. It wasn't panic. It wasn't flailing. It was intention. In the second second, the man twisted his shoulders just enough to throw off the grip of the soldier behind him. Not free, just misaligned. In close quarters, misalignment was everything. By the third second, he was already rising. A knee drove backward into a thigh. Not hard enough to break bone, hard enough to steal balance. The soldier yelped, instinctively loosening his hold. The fourth second was chaos. Someone shouted. Someone else fired too early. The bullet ripping harmlessly into the dirt where the man's head had been a moment before. The sound shattered the fragile pause his laughter had created. But it was too late. The fifth second belonged to him. He lunged forward, not toward escape, but toward the machine gun itself. Toward the greatest threat. Toward the only weapon that mattered. That choice alone separated survivors from corpses. The gunner tried to swing the barrel, but machine guns were not made for elegance. They were made for dominance at distance, not wrestling matches at arm's length. The man slammed his full weight into the weapon, jamming the barrel downward as it roared. Bullets tore into the ground, dirt exploding upward like geysers. Sixth second. His hands wrapped around the hot metal, skin already screaming, but pain was irrelevant now. Pain was a future problem. Survival was the present. Seventh. An elbow smashed into his ribs. He ignored it. A boot caught his shin. He barely noticed. His world had narrowed to angles, leverage, and breath. Eighth. He wrenched the machine gun sideways. The gunner stumbled. The weapon swung, spraying death in a wild arc. 2 enemy soldiers fell before they understood what was happening. Ninth second. The commander shouted orders, but commands take time to travel through fear. Men hesitated. Men ducked. Men froze. The man ripped the machine gun free. It felt impossibly heavy, unbalanced, alive in his hands. 10th second. He fired. Not wildly, not desperately, deliberately. Short bursts, controlled, trained. The nearest threat dropped. 11th, 12th, 13th. Each squeeze of the trigger carved a narrow corridor through the enemy formation. They had expected a prisoner. They had prepared for an execution. They were not prepared for a storm. By the 15th second, the clearing was unrecognizable. Smoke curled upward. Shouts overlapped. Bodies lay tangled where confidence had stood moments earlier. The man moved without thinking now. Thinking was too slow. Training took over, the kind etched into muscle and bone by endless drills and near misses. He advanced. Yes, advanced. That, too, broke them. Most men run when surrounded. Most men look for exits. He moved forward, straight into the heart of them, turning their numbers into a liability. 16th second. A soldier rushed him from the side. The man pivoted, used the machine gun like a club, felt the jolt travel up his arms as bone met steel. 17th. Another burst. 18th. A scream. 19th. Silence where a voice had been. Time stretched and compressed at once. 45 seconds became an eternity and a blink. By the 30th second, the enemy line had collapsed into fragments. Men scrambling for cover, men shouting contradictory orders, men suddenly aware that they were dying, not to a unit, not to a platoon, but to one man who refused to accept the ending written for him. The commander tried to rally them. He raised his pistol, screaming for discipline, for order, for courage. The man saw him. 31st second. One burst. The commander fell backward, eyes wide, authority evaporating with his breath. And with him fell whatever cohesion remained. 35 seconds. The gun clicked empty. The sound was deafening. For a fraction of a heartbeat, the world held still. The man dropped the useless weapon, snatched a fallen rifle from the ground, rolled behind a tree as bullets chewed into bark where he had stood. 36. 37. He fired twice. 38. Reloaded with shaking hands that no longer felt like his own. 39. Another enemy fell. 40. The clearing was suddenly quiet. Not peaceful. Never peaceful. But empty of movement. 41 seconds. He stood alone among the fallen, chest heaving, ears ringing, hands slick with sweat and blood. Some his, most not. 42. He scanned the tree line, expecting retaliation. None came. 43. The survivors had fled. 44. He was still alive. 45 seconds. That was all it had taken for the universe to change its mind. He didn't celebrate. He didn't shout. He sat down hard against the base of the tree and laughed again, but this time it was quieter. Broken. Almost disbelieving. Because now came the most dangerous realization of all. He had survived, and survival carried responsibility. He stripped what he could: ammunition, a radio, maps. His hands trembled uncontrollably as the adrenaline drained away, leaving behind pain he had postponed and fatigue that felt like gravity had doubled. He checked his watch. The mission was already compromised, but the information he carried, the positions he had seen, the armor he had counted, was still intact. So he did the only thing left. He moved, back through hedgerows, back through fields, back through a war that had nearly swallowed him whole. Hours later, filthy, bleeding, and half delirious, he staggered into friendly lines. The sentries nearly shot him. They didn't recognize the ghost walking toward them. When he finally collapsed, medics rushed in, shouting questions he barely heard. How many? Where were you? What happened? He answered none of them. He slept. Weeks later, the war rolled on, indifferent as ever. Battles were fought. Cities were liberated. Names were written into history books, while others were quietly filed away. But somewhere, in rooms where maps covered the walls, and men with tired eyes made decisions that shaped continents, his report was read. And reread. The positions he had confirmed were real. The armor was exactly where he said it was. The artillery, perfectly marked. An entire enemy thrust collapsed days later. Ambushed, outmaneuvered, dismantled. Thousands of lives were spared. No one outside those rooms ever connected the dots. That was how it was supposed to be. The invitation came months later. He didn't expect it. Didn't want it. He had already returned to anonymity, to a life where no one knew what 45 seconds had cost him, or given him. But orders were orders. The White House was quieter than he imagined. No fanfare, no cameras, just a room, a desk, and a man whose decisions had carried the weight of the world. The president studied him carefully. Not his uniform, not his medals. Him. "I've read your file," the president said finally. The man stood stiffly, uncomfortable, unsure where to put his hands. "They tell me you were surrounded," the president continued, unarmed, facing a machine gun. The man nodded once. "They also tell me," the president said, his voice lowering, "that you laughed." For the first time, the man smiled, just barely. The president leaned back, exhaled slowly, then said something no one else in that room ever forgot. "You know," he said, "people think power lives here." He gestured vaguely around him. "In this office, in this chair." Then he looked the soldier straight in the eye. "I'd trade places with you in an instant." The room went silent. "Because what you had," the president said, "was something no title can give." The man didn't respond. He didn't need to. Don't miss out on the conclusion. Subscribe to Ironclad History now to catch Part 3.